We should talk a little bit about how incomplete history is without some form of ethnic studies.
Right. One of the things that we talk about is how recent the past is, right? So a lot of people think of like the past as something that's very, very far away, right? But once we start to look at the past, we have all of these moments that feel very directly tied to race, and they can tell us something about the current, our current culture. For instance, redlining. So we have this, federal housing administration program that's supporting and backing and insuring houses because of part of this New Deal, which we sort of uniformly say was a good program for our country. And they specifically refuse to back houses in Black neighborhoods. Right. So, and this is like, it's the past, but it's my parents' generation.
Correct.
So my parents would not be allowed to buy houses in these neighborhoods that were backed by, this huge influx of federal government money. And like all of these junctures in American history, you find the reality is there was a racial component. And I think that if we think about American history as something where we can take race out and just talk about the past without really talking about race, we find ourselves tripping again and again over the statutes that were written that included race.
And that brings us to what I think will probably be the most controversial of the, what they're calling the key themes. And they call the theme systems of power. So they want the curriculum that each school district develops to spend some time on systems of power. Right. I have a feeling that might be the one that draws the most controversy. What do you think about systems of power?
There are all these ways that we can think about systems of power, but the reality is it exists. I mean, we are in hierarchical systems right now, and there are systems that we're deferent to, whether it's a system of economic capitalism. If you have more money, you have more access to things, and we see that as right and fair and good. And nobody is necessarily, I think broadly culturally, obviously there are folks who are resisting that narrative, but I think broadly in the U.S. folks are pretty much like, if I have the money, I should be able to buy what I want and go where I want to go with it, And so I think that's a very similar system that we had, 100 years ago. And you could, it makes a lot of, it's not necessarily right, but it helps us to understand the issues that are happening right now. And that's really important.